Gangsters. Alright, so I was doing some research today all morning on celibacy, actually, which I know is kind of like, I guess it was the expected next step in the journey, right? I guess it's something that, like, I don't know, I didn't really think of on a deeper perspective before, being as half hedonistic as I am. I'm like, well, why should people deprive themselves? But then I'm also the same person who, like, fasts and, like, does other disciplines and practices of self, like, deprecation or deprivation, sorry, not deprecation. And so yeah, like everything that I had seen on the subject of celibacy has always been kind of religious, I guess is the best way to put it. Like, it always seems like somebody's doing it for the sake of, like, Christianity, Islam, whatever. And everything I saw on YouTube, all very, like, organized religion based. And I didn't find, like, one where it was just some non-dogmatic person that's like, you know what, maybe I'm just refraining for the sake of refraining, whatever. And as a spiritual person, I feel like celibacy doesn't really need to be a spiritual act. In fact, on the contrary, right, I believe that sex itself is a spiritual act, right? And I believe in, like, sex magic and, like, blood magic that stems from sex magic, like people who have sex on their period and stuff, for ritual reasons. I believe I believe in all that. So to deprive oneself of sex is kind of like, I guess in some ways it could be a spiritual journey. Yeah, in a lot of ways it's a spiritual journey. It's the act of, like, disciplining oneself. But when I come at this subject, I'm coming at it from the perspective of, like, a Stoic, for example, right? For more philosophical reasons. And there are a lot of philosophical reasons to, like, to choose celibacy, right? There's, like, I read on my other channel this book called Philosophers Who Failed at Love, right? They always have the most to say on it, but then when it comes to the actual act of doing the thing, it's like, philosophers tend to fall short, that's like, people who master teaching people how to live struggle in the actual action of living themselves, those who can't do teach, right? And so, as a self-certified philosopher, I've kind of come to this place in my life where, I'm like, why not practice celibacy? Oh, my alarm's going off. See, I woke up before my alarm today to talk about it, apparently. But, like, for philosophical reasons, why not pursue, and even for scientific reasons, why not pursue celibacy? I've seen a lot of the no-fap things, where people will, like, go without, like, sex and masturbation for, like, a period of time. And, but to absolutely, like, hold on to your Kundalini energy for yourself, I feel like that's kind of like, taking all your sexual energy, and rather than expelling it, you're holding on to it for yourself and for, using it to your own advantage, right? In terms of your confidence, your productivity, your motivation, all that stuff, right? I don't, like, at first when I started, like, studying celibacy, I was like, you have to be completely unhinged to be like, nah, I ain't doing all that. And then, like, the deeper I went into studying celibacy, the more I was like, wait a second. These crazy people might know a thing or two about a thing or two. Because through, at least from what I've observed, like, people were talking about how it helped them process feelings of, like, lust and attraction versus, like, actual connection and love, They're able to separate the two. They're able to have more discernment in regards to, like, choosing partners and what they actually wanted, It wasn't so much about, this, like, capturing somebody to love them as so much as it was just being able to love them and admire them without needing to attain anything, right? And that's why these people who practice celibacy have, like, experienced, great relationships later because they did a lot of work on themselves. They spent time with themselves. They did the hard shit, right? And sometimes you got to do the hard shit to, like, get the result you want. I was kind of thinking in terms of, like, indefinitely practicing celibacy, which I guess is a little bit more unhinged, right? Celibacy for, like, ever. And here's why the thought keeps bouncing through my head. Because, for one, like, anytime I have really put myself out there in that regard, I've been met with, like, disappointment. And not that that's reason enough, but, like, also what I've experienced in regards to my friendships and things like that is that, when I've been in relationships versus when I've been in friendships, like, the friendship love feels more pure and all encompassing and less damaging, right? Like, in terms of relationships, like, every relationship runs the risk of, like, trauma and, like, and heartache and a lot, and by eliminating the complication of sex, I would therefore be more open to, like, this more holistic, humanitarian style love, where it's like, I have love to give, I have purpose here, I have, I've noticed too when I've allowed myself to be distracted by, like, sex and relationships and things, it really pulls me away from, like, my deeper sense of being or purpose. It's like, because honestly, the things that I want to do are typically right here in this room, where I want to, do my tarot readings or read books for people, or, do, create things for people, whatever. It's like any time I've pursued relationships or things like that, it kind of, like, gets in the way a little bit, or, like, distracts me from it. It makes me feel like I have to, like, something so pressing, I have to, like, be focused on that, and then, there's the emotional, desire to be focused on that also, and I feel that, like, really pulling myself out of that mindset altogether could be, like, hella beneficial. I mean, I think considering who my heroes are, right? We've got Gautama, the Buddha, right? Like, I mean, he had, like, 10 disciples, 10 fucking best friends, and then, like, and he didn't need anything else, Like, the dude was a prince, and he was like, fuck the throne. I'm gonna fucking do what I want to do. I'm gonna go sit on this rock for several hours, and people are just gonna get it, right? Like, and if they don't, fuck them. And then there's, like, Jesus, I mean, I'm not Christian, as you know, but I do feel, like, I understand that anarchist kind of perspective that Jesus takes for like being a prophet, you know, and that I appreciate it. You know, he broke every rule, pissed everyone off, dopest shit, you know, it's like Diogenes too, you know. And you know, I was really like thinking too on like how all my heroes are people who've like died alone, you know, all the people that I personally look up to, and it's like, but like, what's wrong with that, right? Like, what's wrong with like making peace with like that outcome, you know? A lot of the times people will either like cheer you on for that kind of decision, or other times they're like, you're fucking crazy. You just haven't met the right one. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, I've met enough people on this planet to know that there's not that much of a variation, right? And I know that that probably sounds like cold. I guess it probably sounds cold. And that's not saying, you know, that everyone isn't unique or anything like that. I'm just saying not every relationship is all that unique. Not every connection is all that unique, you know? Um, the things that have really kept me feeling like grounded or like kept like a deep sense of like perspective for me, or like when I was in times of refraining, or you know, not even like intentional celibacy, but just being single and being celibate, you know, it really like it gives you like a different kind of clarity, right? And a clarity on like the kind of life that you want to live. And you know, there's a rare few of us that just don't fucking fit in this cookie cutter thing with other people, you know. And I don't see how it's like you know, something to fret about. Even, you know, the fact that I'm making this video is almost too much fretting about it. But I'm making the video because I feel like too many of these videos on celibacy are so fucking religious, and I want you to see that there's another perspective. It's like when people quit drinking and they go to AA and they're like, God's just thrown in their face from every direction, and they're like, bro, I didn't come here for church. I came here to quit drinking, you know? And so I kind of want to like through another perspective that like sometimes people just quit doing things for themselves, right? And for their own higher purpose, right? But having a higher purpose doesn't necessarily equate a higher power, right? Especially when you feel quite powerful in yourself. You don't need something higher than you or above you. No slaves, no masters, you know? And that's not to say that I don't respect the gods and the source god and, you know, all the things. Obviously, I have a lot of respect and, you know, and I honor it constantly. Also, honoring something and being enslaved to something are two very completely different things, right? And you know, enslaving your sexuality to an organized religion, that's kind of weird. You know, that's kind of weird. And you know, and it's not to say that it's not a spiritual practice. Holding on to your kundalini energy is obviously very spiritual. Spending time with yourself, building a strong relationship with yourself, that's clearly very spiritual. But it's not really for anything outside of yourself, right? Or it shouldn't be, right? It should be like, you know what, this is actually the best thing for me, you know, not necessarily the best thing for everybody. You know, not everybody needs to do it. I feel like everyone should probably have a period of time, but you know, some people fucking meet their soulmate when they're 15, and like, it is what it is, you know, they don't get that. And you know, so why not do it for the people who don't get to do it too? You know. And I don't feel that like, I don't feel like it's saying that love is so hard that you just kind of, give up. Because I don't feel like it's really giving up anything. I feel like it's accepting more, right? Or accepting something of a higher purpose, Like, a lot of people can come out here and say they're, like, walking a certain path, but to, like, really take action on that and to really be like, you know what? Fuck it. If sex isn't on my mind anymore, this opens me up to a whole lot of shit, right, in life that, like, probably wasn't, an option before because I was so, like, fixated on life's got to turn out this way and it's got to do this and it's like I was sitting here ticking off like a fucking checklist for my life and I realized that's not living. It's not living. Sitting here fretting about people, that's not living. um and like even pulling myself out of my own element to flirt with people, is uncomfortable for me. It's like I just want to live a life of ease, no resistance, I mean, you guys know I'm a fucking tarot reader. I watch every day how the world complicates complicates life through, sex. And honestly, like, that takes a huge chunk out of things I gotta worry about. I ain't got 99 problems because I ain't got bitches. No, I'm just kidding. I shouldn't say that. No, I did. Yeah, dude. I don't know. It's like when you really tap into the fact that you're an energy being and you really consider all the sex you've had in your life, right? Like, and you really think about like, weighing that between like your material sexual life or your like spiritual like deeper seeking, like, for me at least, that was kind of in the air. Because when I do have sex, right? I'm even uncomfortable saying that, like, but it's like it takes away something from my energy, or it like throws my energy off, right? It takes me off kilter, off balance. And so from that perspective, I can understand why people do it for religious reasons. Like it really does. It's an energy transference when you're doing the thing, and you want to know like who you're giving your energy to and who you're taking energy from, right? Like sometimes you don't know somebody until you've been with them for a fucking decade, and then you're like, oh shit, this is who you were this whole time. Like, I had no idea. I was stuck in my subjective universe over yonder, And I don't know. If there's anything I've learned from relationships in general, is that most of the time I've experienced relationships quite differently from the people I've been with, right? Their experience of the relationship was not the same as mine. And that's kind of uncomfortable too, like when you realize that, like, finding an equally yoked partnership is not that, like, easy, right? And I'm not saying, like, it needs to be. I'm just saying, like, I'm already a fucking weird guy, guys. And so, like, why make this journey even more complicated? Um, and, like, and I had one person ask me recently if, like, there were things about relationships that I missed. And honestly, like, not really, because I have a best friend. You know, like the things that I would want to do in a relationship, I just do with my roommates. You know, like I want to watch movies. Okay, let's watch movies. You want to have a game night? You guys want to go out? Like do karaoke, whatever. You know, it's like it's very like liberating, you know, to be like, you know what? Like I gave that part of my life a go, and like, you know, 30 years deep into this life, and I'm kind of like, who needs it? I mean, not saying who needs it. Like y'all should stop, because clearly you shouldn't. Like life has to find a way. I'm just saying from my own personal perspective, and for those of you who might be like also considering like the path of like celibacy, it's like becoming a vegan. You know, people are gonna look at you weird. People are gonna be like, oh no, you know, like there's a sex scene, cover your eyes. You know, like whatever. You know, but there will be people like that are gonna be either not understanding or too understanding to the point where they're, you know, they could care so much about like your sensitivity to the subject or whatever. Um, and like it just, that's part of the thing, you know. And maybe, you know, the more people who like actually do it for, you know, and people who don't need God as like a cop out for it, right? Like, because I feel like that's kind of a cop out. Like you're exercising your own willpower, you're exercising your own personal strength, especially me as like a fucking witch. You know, like being like, no, because like a lot of the magic that I believe in could be, you know, sex could be used for that. Like, but like I don't need it, you know, and that's also a big thing, is like recognizing I don't need it to be powerful. I can be powerful without it, you know. It's an aspect that can be utilized, sure, but like it brings more complications than not too. You know, like it creates soul ties, man. And then you think about all the soul ties you've had in this life, is that really what you want in the next? Genghis Khan out here, oh my god. Fuck that. Whoever got reincarnated, or whoever Genghis Khan got reincarnated into, man, they got it rough. The whole world's mad at them right now. And they don't know why. But yeah, like I feel that like, you know, sorting through like emotions too is like you kind of learn this like non-attachment style, you know. Like if you go through life with the mindset of like, well, nobody's ever gonna be mine anyway, like why fret on that shit, then it really relieves. Like, or like, you know, it like what's the word I'm thinking, it like takes away the pressure of life, you know, a little bit. You get to just kind of walk through life not like thinking, oh, this person's cute or they're cool, maybe I should date this person, you know, like you're not focused on that shit. You're focused on like, oh, maybe I should start a business or, you know, do a side hustle. Maybe with all this extra time, I'll pick up a hobby or I'll do this, you know. It's like, we become more productive, you know, as a species, you know. It's like yeah, sex is fine, I guess. Like, you know, it's not like there's anything wrong with it, because I mean, like I said, sex can be a very powerful thing. It's just sometimes people feel very powerful in their own energy, you know, and that's something that like, you know, it's almost like when you try to like connect with others and then you feel almost like a sense of yourself being pulled out of the equation, you know. And or at least in my situations, my situationships. It always felt like a piece of me was kind of pulled away, or people were very demanding of like my time and my energy and my attention, and I don't owe that to nobody, uh, and that's nice to not feel like I owe that to anybody. It's like, it is what it is, like, also, like, sleeping alone isn't bad, right? Like, a lot of people are like, oh, don't you miss that aspect? Not really. And if I ever do, I'll just, like, pass out on the couch, like, and bam, same feeling. It's not that, I don't know. Like, it's not that rough or like that complicated. I think things are more rough and complicated when you're constantly trying to like fit into a mold, or like try to do things according to like a planet of people who you feel alienated by, or like, it's like there's just not like this urge to conform to it anymore, I guess. Um, and kind of like accepting a higher path, whatever that higher path is. I mean, shit. Like, look at Betty White. She was fine, I see a lot of posts that like always say there's somebody for everybody, and it's like that's not always the case. And they shouldn't feel bothered by that either, It's like some people are just so fucking out there. Like, it is what it is, and I'm one of those people. It's like, I just, taking away taking out of the equation any kind of emotional disappointment frees me up, in a lot of ways. I feel like a lot of the times, like, we catch ourselves, like, kind of relying on, like, some form of, like, validation, or, like, we kind of, like, catch ourselves relying on, like, how other people, accept us, or whatever, and it's, like, there's not really much of a need to worry about all that anyway. Like, I mean, I don't know, but it's your journey, however you choose it. I'm making this video primarily for people who are choosing, like, and kind of curious about the path, curious about, like, what makes people stumble upon this path, Like, I mean, the last couple years, I did the Ramadan and Passover, Lent, all the things. I try to see, I practice certain things to see where the spiritual practice comes in, and how, like, why they feel like is an important thing to do, fasting is a big one. All the fasts are coming up pretty soon, so I gotta start fucking training. But yeah, and it's like, I don't know. I think it was like when I was 15 and I picked up my first book on Gandhi, and I saw what that fool was doing, and I was like, this dude is wild. Like, what the hell? What makes you just decide this? Like, and like, and then I learned about like the Dalai Lamas and all these different like philosophies and spiritualities and things like that. And the deeper I dove, I feel like somewhere deep down in the back of my mind, I always kind of question, is this like where the path is leading? Like, but like, I gave relationships a shot. I gave connection a shot. And it was never as fulfilling as just chilling and like focusing on what I want to embrace in my own life, and like what makes me happy in life. Um, like getting some cats, doing some shit, like whatever. I don't feel like I have to like conform to anybody else's ideal of what I should be or whatever. If somebody is disappointed in me, well, they can go fuck themselves. It's it's definitely not the life that, like, if you had asked me when I was 6 years old, like if I would be like a celibate urban monk, like, no. I probably would be like, hell no, there's no way. I'm gonna be a thug, and I am. I'm still a thug. Like, um, yeah, like, basically, I feel that, like, it's also a form of, like, having control over myself as a person, right? Being a woman, we're very hypersexualized. You post one picture and everybody and their mother's like, oh my god, and it's like, and which is fine, it is what it is. But when you've been sexualized so long that, like, even making normal friendships, sometimes, like, people will get upset because you're just like, I thought we were just being friends. Like, and then, they had expectations, and, you're just like, we were chilling. And it's kind of like, that shit gets disappointing too. And, like, being able to reach a point where it's almost like, all right, the people who are in my life have to kind of be in there because they want to be in my life, not because they want to have sex with my body. Right? Like, that's, something that, place that I've reached. Because it sucks losing fucking dope ass friends to this ideal that we need to be aspiring for something, like, in regards to that, like, humans are very, like, sexual creatures, and, like, um it almost sucks that, like, people just can't be in your life sometimes without having that be an option, and it's like, why should anybody feel like they owe that to anybody, like, they shouldn't. Bottom line. um And, the fact that so many people feel entitled in that way, that they would create the friend zone and all this, and it's like, who the fuck told you were entitled to them anyway? Like, be disappointed, right? Be disappointed that it didn't work. Nobody said that just get to take ownership over people, so yeah, that's pretty much where I stand on the matter. But I don't know. I just wanted to get on here, rant a little bit, smoke some weed with y'all. I'm going to be reading The Alchemist, getting caught up on this book finally. I know I've been procrastinating on it. Life has been a crazy, busy, hectic thing. So I'm organizing myself again, getting back into the rhythm of things. Cause it's the rhythm of the night. No, no. Okay, sorry. um, yeah, so I'm gonna go do that. Namaste, all of you guys, and I will catch you later.